Hey everyone, welcome back to Auto Anatomy. I'm Sean. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I'm excited to get back to work on the Porsche project because we're going to get this thing ready for paint again. Before we get started, make sure you click on that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out, and click on the link above to go to our merchandise page. It really helps support our channel to make sure that we can continue to make videos like this for you guys. So on a previous episode, you saw that we had decided to go ahead and get the car painted, and I want to prep the car by pulling out the taillights, the headlights, you know, all of the, not the headlights, but getting the marker lights and things like that out. And I want to pull the rear hatch off because we're going to reseal it. You can see that right here that the trim is just separated from the hatch and this is all loose. So we're gonna pull this off and get this resealed. And today I got a package in the mail from one of our supporters named Jacob Roufa. And Jacob, I just wanna say thank you, brother. He heard that we were trying to get the air conditioning up and working on this car, and I was missing some hoses and the AC condenser was broken. So he sent them to us and we got them in the mail, and I just wanna say thank you again for sending those. You have been a tremendous help on this car, so thanks again. So we're gonna put the condenser on the car, and who knows, maybe try and draw a vacuum and see if we can get the air conditioning working on it, even though it is like 6 degrees outside. Let's get started. I don't know where my knife is, so we're just using some trauma shears. Okay, so I've got the condenser out, and this thing looks perfect. I mean, it's got a few little things that, little fins that are bent, but I mean, nothing you can't straighten out with a fin comb. But this is gonna fix our problem, because here is part of my original condenser. You can see it just broke off right there at that joint. So I don't know if this wasn't connected or whatnot, but it just stressed this tube and it broke off. So we'll get this old condenser out, get this one straightened up, and get it installed, and who knows, see if we can draw a vacuum on it. All right, so you can see the old one here. It's out of the car now. You can clearly see, you know, like where it broke. And I think the biggest issue was this brace here wasn't attached to the car, and with as rusted as it is right here, it doesn't look like it's been on there for a long time. So it probably just vibrated and fatigued that metal and sheared it right off. So when you're putting your car back together, make sure you put all the braces in. They're there for a reason. So it looks like really all I've got to do is just put one screw in from here onto the new one here, and then I've got some new grommets, and we'll get it back in the car, and fingers crossed we'll have working air conditioning again. Okay, so I mentioned that we're gonna have to straighten out some of these fins, and this is a fin comb. I just picked it up from Harbor Freight. It's like, I don't know, $5 or so, and you can see it's got different numbers on it. These correspond to the number of fins per inch. Hold this up, and you start with like the lowest number and just kind of go up until you find the one that lines up. All right, so let's find some bent fins. You can see a couple of fins that are kind of bent over here. And let's see if we can just slip this in. All right, and you can see you just start from like a known good, and then just kind of work it back and forth, going down like one fin at a time until it's all straightened out. So we've got the air conditioning condenser back in, and I've got a little bit of work to do before I can, you know, charge the system. I've got to go through and make sure all the O-rings are replaced, and, you know, put an little adapter for the 134 on there, vacuum it down, and then we'll see what happens. In the process of doing everything, I did find that this motor here doesn't work. You can't tell right now because I've got the little flapper down in there, but that motor is absolutely locked up. I'd wondered why the heat kind of sucked in the car, honestly, and you know, I'd read some things online that it wasn't really that great to begin with, But yeah, so I've got another motor on the way, and as soon as it comes in, unfortunately to change that out, you have to rip the whole dash apart. There is a way that you can do it from the top side, but it involves cutting up metal, and I don't really want to do that. So I'll end up just pulling the dashboard out and doing it the right way, I guess. But before all that happens, I feel like I've got this sense of deja vu, because now we've got to rip the car back apart again and start pulling all the trim, the lights, and things like that off. And then we're going to turn the car around, pull the hatch off of it, and then get ready to take it to paint tomorrow. All right, so the car's turned back around in the garage, and I think it's time to pull the hatch off of it. Now, to pull the hatch off, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see real well, but there's like a little cover right here, and then one on the other side, and then there's just one bolt that's right in there. So we'll pop these covers off, take that one bolt off, and then it's just, you know, the little hatch struts on each side, and then taking it off. You can see the hatch is off, and I guess the next step is let's take the car to paint. Next time you see it, it's all gonna be painted. Now, honestly, I have no idea how to take this glass apart. So I think the first thing is probably just pulling the wing off. So we'll take these screws back out. I think it's probably gonna come apart pretty easily, just seeing how much it's unbonded from the front, but who knows? I mean, if you've done this before, let me know in the comments what you've done to get the glass off from the trim and what's worked for you. All right, so now we've got to pull off these side pieces here, and you can see here's my little Batman tip screwdriver I made to take these off. So there's like, what, 2, 4, 6 on each side. Get those off, and then we can actually see what we're working with. I got the little trim off the front here. This just pops off, you can see. It's got like a little clip that just rides on the front. You can clearly see now how much this is separated. And it's only just from like right here to like the corner here. But since it's already come unbonded in a lot of places, I've got to figure out how to get the rest of this off. As you can see, actually right where that black starts, that's where it's really bonded all the way down. All right, so I think I found the easiest way, at least that I've been able to come across, to try and separate the glass from the frame. And I went to Harbor Freight and got their little cutter tool, which is just like a little blade, and you work this under the edge, and then you hold it in this hand, and then with that you pull. But this is so hard and like dry, so I'm taking a torch and I'll heat up the area and then pull it, you know, a ½ inch at a time, and then heat it up a little more and pull it and pull it and pull it. And then I've got a little wedge in here, just kind of putting some pressure on it. So I guess given enough time, we'll try and get the glass off the frame without breaking it. felt something kind of pop right there, so I don't want to push that. So I got all the glass off finally and bolted it up to the frame up to the car here, and it looks like this side, I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell, it's got a slightly larger gap than this side. So I really want to just kind of bolt it down onto the car before like doing a whole lot of work, because I think, you know, it may have been just a little bit tweaked. And one thing I noticed is that this side that isn't bent has like this metal rod reinforcement, and you come over to this side, it doesn't have it. So I wonder if that was something they noticed at the factory, that, you know, the driver's side was bending and then this side is now warped a little. But I'm going to try and straighten it out a little bit, and then get it cleaned up, get the glass cleaned up and painted, and then give this a chance to dry for a few weeks while the car's getting painted. So today's the day we finally get to take the Porsche to get painted, and you can see the back windows out of it here and the back hatch off here. And of course it's freezing cold and snow on the ground. So I think now's a good time to break away and talk about something really important during the winter. Frostbite is a medical condition in which your skin and tissues freeze after being exposed to cold temperatures. It most frequently affects your extremities like your fingers and toes, earlobes, and nose. Now, there are 3 stages to frostbite. The earliest and mildest stage is sometimes called frost nip, and it's marked by redness in your extremities. Now, sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's numb. And the way that you treat it is you start by moving your fingers. Try and get some blood flow back to your extremities. Or you can try gently rewarming them. Don't place them in the fire. Don't try and heat them up too quickly. Your skin can still burn. The second stage of frostbite is marked by fluid-filled blisters forming 24 to 36 hours after rewarming. And the final, most severe form of frostbite is when you have full thickness tissue damage, and it is marked by a discoloration of the skin, typically gray to black, and is associated with numbness, not always pain. But this is a medical emergency and you need to seek help immediately. Like with most disease processes, prevention is the best medicine. Wear gloves, do your best to stay warm, and remember your 3 N's. Numbness is never normal. Now, back to the Porsche. So I got the glass all cleaned up, and I've got to tell you that is a huge pain to do, just to get all that old rubber and sealant and just gunk off of it. And I've got it out here in the sun now, just kind of warming up a little bit. And originally there's like a little black paint strip all around like the back and the sides, but interestingly enough, not along the front. But I've got this masked up, and it's going to warm up the glass here a little bit, clean it off one more time, get that painted, and then we'll work on getting this cleaned up. It's the hatch frame. So the time has come to rebond the glass to the frame over here. And before we can do that, I want to make sure it's all clean, free of like grease and fingerprints. So I've got some of these little alcohol prep pads. I'm just going to wipe all around the periphery here, get it nice and clean. And then this is what we're going to use to rebond it. This is 3M, let's see if you can say that, auto glass urethane windshield adhesive, sometimes called window weld. And I've used this stuff before, and it's really nasty stuff. So make sure that you're wearing gloves and a respirator. We're gonna warm up the glass, warm up the frame again, put a thin bead all the way around, lay the frame on top of the glass, clamp it, and I'm just gonna let it sit for probably, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, doesn't really matter. Because the car, as you can see, is not in the garage anymore. We've got a big hole where the Porsche used to sit. So I've got plenty of time just to let it sit and cure. So we've got it all clamped up, and you can see here it's just got, I think I bought every clamp that Harbor Freight had to sell. And now we wait. The good news is I don't have the car here that I can put it on, so I'm not tempted to rush and get it back on the car. So we can just sit there clamped for, you know, a week, 2 weeks, however long it takes to get the car back. That's gonna wrap up this episode. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, click on that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when any new videos come out. I'm hopeful to get the Porsche back in a couple of weeks, and then we can start reassembling the car and getting on to the interior. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you later.